When mate errors arise, you essentially have two options: delete the mate or repair it. By far, the most common solution is to delete a problematic mate. This includes simply clicking undo when an error appears. Although most errors can be repaired, deleting a bad mate is sometimes the most practical solution in an environment where you simply need to get a project done. That said, I would advise you to spend at least a few seconds trying to understand why an error has occurred. Do not assume that an error is simply due to a glitch in SOLIDWORKS. This is rarely the case. In most instances, SOLIDWORKS is providing you feedback that your assembly has other problems that aren't easily visible. For instance, here I have two plates. I'll assemble them using a concentric mate between the holes, a coincident mate to bring them together, and a coincident mate using these two end faces. This results in an error. What I do next is important. I can undo the last mate, I can cancel this altogether and try something completely different, or I can change to a different mate type such as parallel. Regardless of what I decide to do, the most important thing is that I consider why this error occurred to begin with. What have I done up to this point that makes it impossible for SOLIDWORKS to make these two faces coincident? Suppose I failed to ask this question and simply tried a parallel mate instead. This time, I wouldn't see an error, so I'd simply continue with my assembly design. However, if I take the measure tool and use it to measure the distance between the same two faces, notice there's actually a very small distance between the two. Had I investigated the reason for the error in the first place, I might have considered the location of these holes. It's the holes, after all, that are controlling the position of the plates. By double-clicking on the face of each hole, you can see the bottom plate is offset 3/4 of an inch from the edge. If I check the top plate, the hole is offset slightly more. And this is enough to cause the coincident mate to fail. Also, by repairing this discrepancy now, it's possible to avoid downstream problems that will otherwise not show up until they're much more costly. So far, we've dealt with individual mate errors, and we've seen how they can be repaired by deleting and replacing them, or by editing them directly. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at using the Mate Expert. This tool provides an efficient method of identifying and repairing mate errors in an assembly containing numerous errors. If you've ever inherited an assembly from a colleague who didn't seem to be bothered by a red feature manager tree, you'll appreciate what this tool can do.